Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing the 2025 geography question paper. See, every year the questions have been comparatively easy, but in 2025 the questions were comparatively difficult. So I will tell you a format in which you should be attempting the answers. See, answer writing is an art, but again you can convert this art into a skill. So this you can do by practice. So you have to practice impromptu answer writing, because when you go to the examination hall, obviously you'll not be knowing the answers for all the 20 questions. Say for 10 questions, you'll be knowing the answers perfectly. So this is what I called pre-programmed preparation. But for rest of the 10 questions, you'll not be having any information. Means you'll have a bit of information, but again you won't be able to frame. So for that, you have to start an impromptu answer writing. So this will improve your articulation skills. Now firstly, I'll be telling you the format in which you should be attempting the answers. For example, okay, let's take the first question here. See, how are climate change and sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? So for any question, I'll tell you one format. So you please stick to this format. The format is, you should be having an intro and you should be having a conclusion. The intro should be consisting of 3 to 4 lines, and same, the conclusion should be 3 to 4 lines. The intro can be of two types. The one is context based intro, and second is definition based intro. So since this year the questions have been a bit difficult, you can go for simple definition based intro. Anyways, when you go to the examination hall, the most of the people will be writing the definition based intro only, because writing a context based introduction requires a lot of skill. You should be having a touch of current affairs, etc. So you see, for example, if you want to write a context based introduction for this, see, link all these dots: climate change, sea level rise, okay, small island developing nations, etc. So recently, the small island developing nations has become an important pressure group within the UN itself. So that can be the context. And they're also fighting for their existence, because once the sea level rise happens, they're going to get submerged and other problems which we'll be discussing in the answers. So you can talk about the UN, how they have become, okay, the important pressure group in the UN, and how recently importance has been given in the UNGA, and one of the nations president has been made the president of United Nations General Assembly. You can talk these kind of things in the context, but again itna dimag aapke exam mein chalega nahi. So that's why I also went with very simple basic definition based introduction. So small island developing nations, climate change, okay, what is going to happen here? So rising global temperatures, melting glaciers, thermal expansion of the oceans, intensifying weather, extreme weather events. So all these things we'll be discussing. So once you give an intro, then one kind of grand diagram, flowchart, something which is schematic, you should follow. So many teachers in the market will be telling that no need of any such things, no need to draw diagram, etc. That is stupid. You should definitely draw such kind of diagrams, and especially in geography. So jaise, for every subject we'll be having such an vasool, etiquettes of writing or presenting. So if you're taking botany or zoology, do you think you can write an answer of botany or zoology without drawing diagram? Same goes with the geography. So you have to draw diagram. What is geography? Geography is spatial science. It's a science, okay, in the space. So you have to definitely show the space here. Without space, you cannot explain geography, or you can't, okay, go forward or do anything in geography. So that's why showing maps, etc. is very important. So that is the importance of the maps in geography. So a grand map. Then every question will be having 1 or 2 parts in it. So identify these 1 or 2 parts, then give side headings, split them into 2-3 parts, and then you can go for the conclusion. and whether it is asked in the examination or not, you should definitely go for a way forward, or you should definitely have a solution oriented approach. Because after all, when you will be becoming a district collector or an administrator, ultimately you have to solve something there. Okay, you have to identify the problem and then solve the problem. ऐसा नहीं कि वहां जाके कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है भैया, सब चंगा सी, सब कुछ अच्छा है, ये एटीट्यूड नहीं चलेगा. आपको प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई करना है एंड प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करना है. एग्जाम में पूछा है नहीं पूछा है, लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत. सी इस क्वेश्चन में दे डिडंट आस्क अबाउट द सॉल्यूशन, लेकिन मैंने थोड़ा वे फॉरवर्ड यहां पे लिख दिया. बिकॉज यू हैव टू शो टू द एग्जामिनर दैट यू हैव a tendency of problem solving. Okay, you are a problem solver. ये attitude आपको answer में reflect करना चाहिए. So that's why I have shown this. So my every answer will be having same kind of approach. See, again I am telling you one more thing. It is not just about knowing what is the answer. आपके दिमाग में होगा ये भैया आंसर ये वाला आंसर होगा. भाई सिर्फ जानना नहीं होता है. How to put that on the paper, that is also more important. and यहां पे मैंने वो शो किया. भैया सिर्फ पेपर में रखना ही नहीं, कितने जगह में रखना है, कैसे रखना है, वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. इसलिए मैंने खुद से सब कुछ लिख के आपको बता रहा हूं, डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कर रहा हूं कि आंसर कैसी होनी चाहिए. सो आपने कहीं पे भी आंसर्स का डिस्कशन देखा होगा. वो लोग ऐसे ऐसे होना चाहिए आंसर, ये वाला पॉइंट लिख दो, ये वाला पॉइंट लिख दो, ओके लास्ट में ओके मिडिल पाथ, बुद्धा का मिडिल पाथ कर लो, ऐसे बकवास चीजें बताएंगे. बट यू शुड एग्जैक्टली नो वेयर टू पुट व्हाट, एंड यू नेसेसरली डोंट हैव टू टेक ऑलवेज द मिडिल पाथ. लोग बोलते हैं कि इसको मिक्स कर लो, किसी को ऑफेंड मत करो. भैया आप एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बनने जा रहे हो, तो देश का जो फ्यूचर आपके हाथ में है. तो पॉलिटिशियंस तो बदलते रहते हैं, but this civil services iron frame, okay, that is you. So you are the change makers, you are the guys who will be suggesting the ministers and all. So you guys should be having such kind of approach, problem identification and problem solving, and you have to be a decision maker. It's not always okay you have to hang the things in between and then okay run away. ऐसा नहीं. अब फेल हो नो प्रॉब्लम, लेकिन उससे सीखो. लेकिन आजकल के ब्यूरोक्रेट्स करते हैं ओके दे फेल बट सेफ. सो डोंट शो सच काइंड ऑफ एटीट्यूड इन द आंसर्स. सो दैट इज व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू. ओके, नाउ लेट्स सी ओके द क्वेश्चन एंड द आंसर. सो affecting the very existence of island nations. So while you're writing the answers, हमेशा क्या होता है, आप आंसर लिखते लिखते ना कहीं और ड्रिफ्ट हो जाते हो. यू वोंट रियली फोकस और यू डोंट रियली केयर व्हाट हैज बीन आस्क्ड इन द क्वेश्चन. इसीलिए व्हेन एवर यू आर राइटिंग द आंसर, आफ्टर एवरी सेंटेंस और आफ्टर एवरी पैराग्राफ, गो बैक एंड look at the question. It will remind you what is the demand of the examiner. Okay, now so existence. Okay, so existence में क्या आएगा, loss of territory and habitable land. So most of these islands are okay 1.5 or 2 meters above the sea level, at max 3 to 4 meters above the sea level. So whenever there is a sea level rise, these islands will be inundated, डूब जाएगा. So existential crisis. Okay, and since in the question they have asked with examples also, you should definitely provide examples. So here I have given 2 examples. Maldives. So one case study is there regarding Maldives. 80% will be submerged by 2100, even if you're keeping the 1.5 degree centigrade limit. That is a Paris Climate Summit target. Next, Kiribati, it has purchased the real estate in the neighboring country. देखो. Next, threats to fresh water and food security. See, this is the land and that is the ocean. So land पे लोग रहेंगे तो जमीन से वो खींचेंगे ग्राउंड वाटर, एंड यहाँ पे प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा. and on that side the pressure will be more. So therefore, seawater intrusion will be taking place onto the land. So the groundwater aquifers will be destroyed or polluted with the salts. If not, अगर नीचे से पानी नहीं आ रहा है, ऊपर से भी आ सकता है पानी. You can have storm surge, you can have a cyclone. So the surface water of the island will be polluted. Okay? Example, Tuvalu. Next, reclining natural resource base. भैया इनके लिए natural resource base क्या होता है इस islands के लिए? So it is the fisheries. So whenever there is sea level temperature rise, the coral reefs will be affected. When the coral reefs are affected, the habitat will be affected because the coral reefs, despite being less than 0.1% of entire ocean surface, they support 25% of marine life. भैया अगर कोरल इकोसिस्टम ही गया तो फिशरीज गया तो उनका खाना गया. Next, increase the frequency of disasters. Now, this sea level rise is also associated with global warming, rising average temperatures. So whenever these temperatures are rising, there will be more evaporation. When there is more evaporation, there is more moisture in the atmosphere. So more moisture means more latent heat of condensation. That means there is more energy in the atmosphere. So this will drive a lot of extreme weather events such as cyclones, etc. So that is how it will be affecting, and give here one or two examples. Next, socio-economic and cultural disruption. See example, see economically कैसे affect होगा, socially कैसे affect होगा, cultural disruption कैसे होगा. See, most of these islands survive on tourism. तो यहाँ का अगर natural beauty पूरा खराब हो गया, coral reef खराब हो गया, then the people will not be coming. So the income which is related to tourism will not come. So economic disruption will happen. And secondly, if the sea level rise happens, if the inundation happens, if people have to move out, so there will be cultural disruption, cultural dilution. So they won't be able to practice their culture when they go to the other islands or somewhere else. So they have to live a migrant life. And आपको पता है आजकल migrants होने का क्या क्या हो रहा है. हर जगह पे there is a rise of right wing nationalism. There is no acceptance for the outsiders. So this is because of excessive protectionism. So these will be the effects. Now finally, it can also have geopolitical and legal challenges. ये कैसे होगा? See, the EEZ, exclusive economic zone, means the zone from where you can extract the economic resources. आप oil ले सकते हो वहाँ से, minerals ले सकते हो. So when the baseline means island का नक्शा बदल जाएगा, then the EEZ will also be disrupted. So they'll be losing the access to the natural resource base. And secondly, अगर इस छोटे islands के आसपास कोई बड़ी aggressive country है, so they might come and encroach upon their EEZ area, which will further give rise to the geopolitical tensions. Now, what is the way forward here? The first one is mitigation. So mitigation means you try to reduce the aftermaths or the effects. Next, climate smart technology. You can adapt solar, wind energy or tidal energy or wave energy, something of that sort. Next, international support. So the countries which have been traditionally responsible or historically responsible for the climate change, they can support these small island developing nations. And next one is adaptations. In adaptation, you're already agreeing that the climate change is going to happen, the sea level rise is going to happen. Then there you will learn to adapt. Maybe by building some grayons, maybe by building some walls, maybe by building some natural coastal infrastructure such as mangroves. maybe you will restore some coral reefs, etc. And finally, conclude the answer. When you're doing conclusion, the first 2-3 lines actually should conclude the answer, and the next 2-3 lines it should be futuristic in nature. So what I've done here is I've linked them with the SDGs. So I can't be reading the entire answer here. Anyways, this PDF I'll be uploading, so you'll also get the PDF. So what I'll do is I will tell you the approach, okay, how I have approached the answer. Similarly, we'll go with the other answers as well. So let's go with the next question. So what are non-farm primary activities? So how are these activities related to the physiographic features of India? Again, in this question, a lot of my candidates, general candidates, they have made a lot of mistakes. Firstly, they don't focus on the question at all. Okay, उनको जो पता है वो लिखते रहेंगे. See, what are primary activities? So this definition should be clear. The primary activities are dependent upon natural resource base. So nature से directly जो भी लेते हो, that becomes primary activity. When you process it, it becomes secondary activity, that is manufacturing. And then the tertiary is the services. So this thing has to be clear. So what are these non-farm? Of course, agriculture is there. Apart from this, you have fisheries, forestry, mining, quarrying, hunting, pastoralism, gathering, etc. And everywhere you have to show that these activities are closely tied up with the physiographic features. Now let's see fishing. Now wherever possible, you can dope in certain information. So without wasting many sentences, without wasting much time, if you can dope some extra information, you can dope. You can put in. So diagram में खाली मिला, मैंने ये लिख दिया. So this one contributes to 1.1% of GDP. Now fishing तो है, लेकिन how it is associated with the physiography of India. Now let's see the western coast of India. Western coast of India, the marine fisheries are very famous, very prominent, because the western coast of India has the broad continental shelf. Because when the Indian peninsular plateau, when it was rolling, drifting and thawing, when it was moving towards Eurasia, so the part of the peninsular plateau, the western flank of the peninsular plateau, so it fell into the ocean. Okay, I'm using very laymanish language because it is general studies and many may not understand. Okay, so the western flank has created a big platform. Because of this, you'll be having a lot of shallow waters. Means the depth of the waters will not be going beyond 200 meters. And because of which, you'll be having the supply of both. आपको मछली चाहिए, fish चाहिए, आपको क्या चाहिए? या तो phytoplankton चाहिए. Because the food chain is phytoplankton, zooplankton, small fish, big fish. So you'll be having good marine, diverse ecosystem. So again, for the growth of phytoplanktons, what do you need? You need minerals which the ground will supply. Means seabed नहीं बोल सकते. Okay, it is an extension of the continental shelf itself. So land से means डूबा हुआ land से, okay, आपको minerals मिलेगा and ऊपर से sunlight मिलेगा. So minerals plus sunlight, photosynthesis, a lot of phytoplanktons, and this region will become good in fisheries. That's why western side will be having good fisheries. Now the peninsular plateau is tilting towards the east. So when it is tilting towards the east, you'll be having a lot of east flowing rivers. Now because of this east flowing rivers, there is a lot of silt deposited. The silt deposition will be giving rise to a lot of deltas, and also it will create lagoons because of emergent coastline. So this will give rise to a lot of lagoons, deltas, beels, in which the aquaculture will take place. That's why the inland fisheries are very prominent on the eastern side and the marine fisheries are prominent on the western side. Okay, ये थोड़ा टेक्निकल हो गया. अगर आप लेमैनिश लैंग्वेज में लिखना चाहते हो तो सीधा सीधा बोल दो, इंडिया के पास बहुत बड़ा कोस्ट लाइन है, 7500 मीटर सब कोस्ट लाइन है, बहुत सारे नदी है, बहुत सारे तालाब है, ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो बहुत लेमैनिश लैंग्वेज में. लेकिन here you have to link with the physiographic features. So next one is forestry and gathering. So how you link this with the physiography? See, the forest, okay, जिसको vegetation बोलते हैं technical language में. So the vegetation is linked with the rainfall, and rainfall is linked with the physiographic features. मीन्स इंडिया में जो रेनफॉल है ओरोग्राफिक है. मीन्स जहाँ पे आपके पास पहाड़ है, जहाँ पे आपके पास व्हाट स्मॉल हिल्स है और प्लेट्यूस है, सो देयर यू विल बी हैविंग मोर रेनफॉल. सो जहाँ जहाँ इंडिया में you have hills such as Aravallis, the Western Ghats, the Eastern Ghats, the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So there you'll be having more rainfall. Again, they should be obstructing the southwest monsoonal winds. So since India has a varied physiography, you will have different types of forest. That's why India has almost all the biomes. ओके, इक्वेटोरियल से लेके आर्कटिक तक आपको ऑलमोस्ट सारा ही बायोम्स मिलेगा, एक दो छोड़ के. सो दैट्स व्हाई यू हैव अ वैरायटी ऑफ फॉरेस्ट. व्हेन यू हैव अ वैरायटी ऑफ फॉरेस्ट यू विल बी हैविंग द फॉरेस्ट्री रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज. सो यहाँ पे दो तीन एग्जांपल्स ले लो. ओके, से ड्राई डिसिडुअस फॉरेस्ट में कौन सा वैरायटी मिलेगा, उसका इकोनॉमिक इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है, और मॉइस्ट डिसिडुअस फॉरेस्ट में विच वैरायटी विल बी गेटिंग. ओके, व्हाट इज द इंपॉर्टेंस, एंड इन हिमालयन रीजन ओके व्हाट काइंड ऑफ फॉरेस्ट or plants you can have, on what is the importance. I can write all of these things and examples are anyways given here. So next is mining and quarrying, and look at the contribution to GDP. So it cannot be ignored. अभी इसके बारे में we'll discuss. See how it is related to the physiography. See, you have the shield regions of India, the Singhbhum shield region, Dharwad shield region. So these were the basement rocks. Means ये पत्थर ना 3.2 billion years ago बहुत ही अंदर थे, and because of isostatic rebound they have surfaced out. Okay, अगर simple language में अगर बोला जाए तो बहुत ही पुराना पत्थर, तो 3 billion years पुराना पत्थर, if it is exposed outside, they're called as shield regions. And the shield regions are rich in metalliferous minerals, means iron, chromium, manganese. Okay, is family के. So they'll be rich in metalliferous minerals. And luckily in India we have such kind of shield regions. Bastar भी है थोड़ा बहुत, okay, but again no, it is small. Only small area has been exposed. That's why I'm more focusing on Singhbhum and Dharwad. And अपने पास उतना luxury of space नहीं है, time नहीं है. So next you have oil. So oil we have onshore oil, offshore oil. So onshore मतलब जमीन के ऊपर, offshore मतलब समंदर में. So because of the western flank of the peninsular plateau, you have oil in Bombay High and South Basin. And this oil in the Barmer and the upper Brahmaputra valley is because when the Indian peninsular plateau, when it was drifting towards Eurasia, it was rolling, pitching and thawing. So there were marine transgression, means sea water intrusion has taken place. जब ये नीचे वाला टुकड़ा जब ऊपर की तरफ जा रहा था, जो पानी अंदर आ गया था कोने में. So on the corners of the peninsular plateau, okay, because of the pitching, the marine, okay, transgression has taken place. So during that time, whatever marine life was there, that has been fossilified, and this fossilification has given rise to oil. Okay, so oil हो गया, okay, आयरन फैमिली के मेटालिफेरस मिनरल्स हो गए. अभी थर्ड इज कोयला. ड्रॉ नहीं किया, बाद में आप ड्रॉ कर लेना. See, so when this old peninsular plateau, when it is rolling, drifting, thawing, okay, and also a lot of tectonic events happen. So whenever such kind of incidents takes place, obviously crack तो आना ही आना है. अगर बहुत ही बड़ा, okay, have big continental landmass. So and when this is drifting, obviously it will be associated with the rifting. So these rift valleys in India are associated with coal deposits, and later these rift valleys have been occupied by the rivers. Now, that's why most of the rivers in India are associated with coal deposits. तीनों हो गए. So apart from this, you have placer deposits also, and also you have a lot of minerals in the Himalayan region, but because of the difficult terrain and harsh climatic conditions, they become inaccessible. Okay, so उतना भी ज़्यादा नहीं लिख सकते, पूरा geography हो जाएगा. This is pastoralism and animal rearing. Look at the contribution to GDP. Now, how we can relate this to the physiography? See, there is a concept called as continentality. See, if you're having a coastline, so near the coastline, you'll be having good amount of rainfall. But again, when you're moving into the continental interiors, the rainfall reduces. And moreover, India has monsoonal type of rainfall. Means 4 months of rainfall and for 8 months it will be dry. So since you'll be having floods as well as the droughts, so in the dry season, you cannot really practice cropping because cropping के लिए पानी चाहिए. And moreover, you have continentality, means continental interiors है. And we also have a rain shadow region, means the western side of the Western Ghats has the rain shadow region. वहाँ पे really उतना बारिश नहीं आता है जैसे अपना मराठवाड़ा है, विदर्भा है, तेलंगाना है, रायलसीमा है, रायचूर region, northern part of Karnataka. And also you have this arid and semi-arid regions of Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab. So here you don't have much of rainfall, arid region. So what will people do here? Since they cannot, practice cropping, and moreover, these regions also have a lot of poor people, and land is fragmented. Means छोटे-छोटे टुकड़े में land है. अभी क्या सोचेगा फार्मर? ओके, छोटे टुकड़े में मैं क्यों फार्मिंग करूं? एंड अगर पानी नहीं आएगा तो वहां पे पूरा नुकसान हो जाएगा. सो फार्मर विल थिंक कि चलो खेती बाड़ी छोड़ो. ओके, देन उस टाइम पे व्हाट विल कम टू द रेस्क्यू इज द एनिमल्स. तो फार्मर क्या सोचेगा? मेरे पास छोटी सी जमीन है, चलो मैं फार्मिंग नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन ओके, 2 गाय, 3 भैंस और some goats, some sheep, some hens, like that. So they'll be going for animal rearing. So animal के लिए कम पानी चाहिए, कम जगह भी चाहिए. And animals घास खाते हैं, and grass requires less amount of rainfall or water. So that will be good for the farmer. And moreover, through animals, the farmer will get a lot of daily income. अगर आप खेती के लिए जा रहे हो, क्रॉपिंग के लिए जा रहे हो, आपको पैसा कब मिलेगा? पैसा आपको 6 महीने के बाद मिलेगा. लेकिन अगर आप एनिमल्स रेयरिंग कर रहे हो, आप गाय है, भैंस है, they'll be giving you दूध, and this दूध you can sell on daily basis. So on daily basis you can have income, and moreover these are very liquid also. It's a liquid asset. आपके पास जमीन है, so जमीन आपको बेचना मतलब मुश्किल है, and उसका पैसा भी मिलना टाइम लगता है. आपके पास गाय है, भैंस है, बकरी है, सो दीज थिंग्स यू कैन सेल, दे आर वेरी लिक्विड. आप आज बेचोगे, तभी का तभी पैसा मिलेगा. द मोर लिक्विड एसेट्स. तो फार्मर को नुकसान हो गया, हॉस्पिटल में चला गया, और बेटी का शादी करना है, एक्सेट्रा. सो दिस कैन एक्ट एज मोर लिक्विड एसेट्स. सो दिस इज वेयर द एनिमल रेयरिंग विल कम टू द रेस्क्यू. Again, this is associated with the physiography. Of course, मैं थोड़ा लंबा खींच रहा हूँ because I think you should be having a knowledge of everything. मतलब क्यों हो रहा है? What is the reason behind it? Okay, you should be knowing it in and out. Okay, you should not be just mugging up the answer peripherally. So इससे क्या होता है ना, आप ऊपर से आंसर को मगअप करोगे. So आजकल यूपीएससी में तो क्वेश्चन तो सीधा सीधा नहीं पूछता है. ओके, पूरा घुमा फिरा के पूछता है. जब तक आपको ये पूरा नॉलेज नहीं होता है, आप एक अच्छा आंसर नहीं लिख पाओगे. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग यू ऑल दिस थिंग्स. थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन आप थोड़ा एडजस्ट कर लो. सो इसके अलावा ओके, विल बी हैविंग सॉल्ट प्रोडक्शन, पर्ल फिशिंग, हंटिंग, गैदरिंग, एक्सेट्रा. नाउ अगेन, conclusion. So all these activities contribute to 10 to 12% of India's GDP, and employment 13 to 15 crore directly, indirectly, and moreover it will be helping a lot of women, tribals, small and marginal farmers. So this highlights the relation between natural endowment, human adaptation, and intertwined India's economic geography. So how all these are intertwined with each other, related to each other. So this can also be highlighted. So thoda bahut ye philosophical ho gaya, okay? But again, so this is again different kind of a conclusion. So this is how you should be presenting the answer. So next question is, explain briefly the ecological and economic benefits of solar energy generation in India with suitable examples. See, in the introduction, I mentioned that the India will be receiving 300 plus sunny days. Means, acha kasa, out of 365, 300 plus sunny days. And moreover, the capacity, according to MNRE, the capacity is around 748 gigawatt. If you have to put this in perspective, so आजकल की जो capacity है 350 to 400 gigawatt है, means okay, in this around 60% will be coming from your coal only. मतलब अब तक का जितना भी कैपेसिटी है उस सब को सिर्फ सोलर रिप्लेस कर सकता है and almost double the capacity. So that is the capacity of the solar. And since I have to draw a diagram, I have shown here that India falls in the tropical region. So tropical region का एक map draw कर दिया. Now let's see, सीधा okay, क्या पूछा यहाँ पे? Ecological and economic benefits. So whatever keywords, whatever has been asked in the question, use them as keywords. सेम चीजों को जो एग्जामिनर ने आपके ऊपर जो फेंका है उसको आप तीर बना के उसके ऊपर फिर से फेंक दो. So economic and ecological benefits, same, use the same keywords. Now let's see ecological benefits. So reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So when you'll be using solar, you'll not be burning fossil fuels. So you'll not be emitting CO2, CO and other greenhouse gases. Okay. Example you can give here. Next, conservation of fossil fuels. Now if you don't have solar, wind, okay, or tidal energy, so you have to go for the fossil fuels. So when you're going for the solar, then you can conserve the fossil fuels. The fossil fuels can be left to the ground itself. Means leave them in the ground itself. Next, water conservation. After agriculture, if there's any industry which consumes a lot of water, it is the thermal power plants, the energy industry. So therefore, you can conserve a large amount of water. So when you go for solar. Next is land use synergies. Means solar energy can be integrated with anything. Say you are having a lake, over the lake you can have photovoltaics, means solar panels लगा सकते हो. If a canal is glowing, over the canal you can also have the solar power panels. So आपके पास wind turbines है, wind turbines के बीच में आप solar panel लगा दो, means जगह वेस्ट नहीं होगा. And moreover, okay, जब हवा चलेगी sun नहीं होगा, जब sun होगा हवा नहीं चलेगी. So if you are integrating these solar power panels along with the wind energy, so it will be a win-win situation. So you can have almost continuous supply of power. So next is the economic benefits. So energy security and import reduction. So when you'll be producing the energy in your own country, you don't have to really dependent on America or any other country. So recently you must have seen what America has done to us. So we have been importing Russian oil, and America started getting angry. So it was about to put sanctions on India, the tariffs have been increased. So if you want to have an independent foreign policy, the energy security is very important. Next, employment generation, okay, the figures are given here. So decentralized energy access, you don't have to be dependent upon one single thermal power plant because the coal in India is not available everywhere. There are only certain regions in which the coal is concentrated. But the energy requirement is there everywhere in India. But the solar energy is not like that. The solar energy is available throughout India. So you can have decentralized energy access. Next is attracting investment. Since the solar is going to be the future, so not only investments can come from abroad, but also the investments within India also can be mobilized. Next, lower tariffs. So earlier when this solar energy was not viable, the tariffs were high. But again, because of economies of scale and the push by the government, the solar energy is getting a lot of incentives, and the tariffs also have been reduced. So earlier it was around like 7 to 8 rupees per unit, but now it has been reduced to 2 to 2.5. Next, okay, again link this solar energy with the sustainable development and reduction of ecological degradation. So if you want to really make your growth sustainable, means if you want to have a growth without having much repercussions for longer period of time, then the green energy like solar is going to be the future. So such kind of conclusion you can give. Anyways, here conclusion has been written, you can go through it. So next question is, what are tsunamis, how and where they are formed, and what are the consequences? Explain with examples. Now tsunami is nothing but, tsunami in Japanese means a harbor wave. So there is a sudden displacement of large volume of water. So the tsunami can be created because of any reason. So splash आना चाहिए water body में. It can happen in a lake, it can happen in an ocean, anywhere. So there has to be a displacement of the water. So it can happen because of any reason, such as underwater landslides. Since in question they have asked, explain with examples, that's why I have given you examples. Glacial calving, say for example is a very big iceberg. The part of the iceberg is broken and this part falls into the ocean. When it falls into the ocean, again there will be displacement of water. Meteorite impact. So a very big extraterrestrial body, when it's shooting towards the earth, when it shoots, it will again displace a very large amount of water. Underwater nuclear tests. So before this Hiroshima Nagasaki, the USA has tested this atom bomb in Bikini Atoll, okay, near Marshall Islands. Dam failures. So a very large dam is there, suddenly dam fails, the dam is broken. A very large amount of water rushes downward. Again, it will be creating a series of waves. So gas hydrate explosion. So the organic matter which is there in the ocean, when it goes to the bottom of the ocean, since there is no much oxygen here, so anaerobic respiration will be taking place. Means the bacteria will be eating away this organic matter. But instead of releasing CO2, because there is no oxygen, it will be releasing methane. And since when you are going deep in the water, there is very high pressure. And because of the pressure, the ice molecules will form a cage kind of structure over this methane. So in between you'll be having methane, around this methane you'll be having, okay, the ice cage molecules. These are called as gas hydrates. So whenever there is a disturbance of the oceanic crust or the sea crust, so the gas inside this can be released suddenly. Like, as I imagine, okay, a very big bubble is coming from the bottom of the ocean and surfacing over the water. So whenever this big bubble comes, again they will disturb the ocean surface. So tsunami, but again the most common reason behind the tsunami is this subducting oceanic slab. So on this side you have an heavier slab, on that side you have a smaller slab. So this is heavier and older. So this heavier slab and older oceanic slab will be undergoing subduction. So when it will be undergoing subduction, so always the movement may not be smooth. So there will be friction. And because of the friction, okay, a lot of tension will be generated. And when this tension is released all of a sudden, it will result into the vertical displacement of the water. So when the water is vertically displaced, okay, when the water moves upward, again there has to be equilibrium because of gravity. This gravity will pull down this water. And in order to compensate this, a series of waves will be generated. And when these waves will be reaching towards the coast, the wavelength reduces and the amplitude increases. Means the height of the waves will keep on increasing. So such kind of nuances also you can show in the diagram. So this is how the tsunami is generated. So in the question they have asked about the formation. how they are formed. So answer for how they are formed is here. Next in the question they have asked where they are formed. Again answer for this is here. So most commonly these tsunamis are associated with the subducting oceanic slabs. That is, they are associated with the trenches. I mentioned few of the trenches here. So recently in 2022 in Tonga Kermadec, the subduction and the associated explosion was so huge that it has formed a new island, and this volcanic plume means जब explode हुआ था इसका जो plume है, it went into stratosphere depleting the ozone. So that's why given that example. Next, Japanese because of this Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, and okay side में space है तो Kuril Mariana लिख दिया. Mariana is also famous because deepest है. And Puerto Rico, Caribbean, okay, these two are the trenches in Arabian. एक और है South Sandwich, but again mention नहीं किया. And Peru, Chile, one of the famous ones. Okay, so whatever was possible, I've drawn that in the diagram. Now, what can be the impact or consequences? Again, this has been asked in a question. So obviously, the human loss and displacement. The people will die and they'll be displaced. Secondly, ecological damage will be there. The coral reefs will be uprooted. The mangroves will be uprooted. And the salt water intrusion will be taken into the land. So whenever the sea swells, the water will be swelling onto the land. You can give examples of Andaman Nicobar, etc. Next, the coastal infrastructure will be damaged. Ports, airports, etc. They'll be damaged. Those examples have been written here. You can go through it. And next, tourism will also be affected. And this will also impact the economy of the region. So examples you can go through. And apart from this, there can be loss of the cultural heritage also. Example is Mahabalipuram. So during the 2004 tsunami, a lot of cultural artifacts, etc., they have been perished because of the 2004 tsunami. And public health crisis will also happen because whenever these waves will be coming towards the land, so there will be a death of animal, there will be a lot of dead and decay matter because of this. Water will be polluted, a lot of flies will come, a lot of mosquitoes will come, and there will be a lot of waterborne diseases, water pollution will happen, etc. And also social and psychological trauma when people will be losing their near and dear ones. So there will be a lot of stress, okay, this post, okay, traumatic, psychological disorder. And also there will be political and security challenges will be there. The people will be moving out of this area. For example, okay, if there is a lot of sea level rise in the Rakhine province of Myanmar, people from there will be moving into the Bangladesh or the India. So it will give rise to a lot of security challenges as well. So again in the conclusion, so we cannot really stop the tsunamis. What we can have is an early warning. So if you are keeping seismic sensors at the bottom of the ocean, so they'll be able to convey you the information. Okay, and also you can put the ocean buoys, means floating objects on the surface of the ocean. So if there is any displacement of the water on the ocean surface, so they will convey this message to the satellites, and from the satellite you can get the information to the ground and you can warn the coastal communities. So immediately you can send the SMS that okay, the tsunami is going to come, be careful. And before that again we can do a lot of drills, and we can also have a lot of mangroves, okay, restored, or coral reef restoration can take place, so that they will take the impact, and the impact on the people will be less. So such kind of conclusion you can write. The next question is, give a geographical explanation of distribution of offshore oil reserves of the world and how they are different from the onshore oil reserves. See, firstly I'll explain the basics. See, whenever any organic matter is fossilified, it will be converted into a fossil fuel. So if the plant remains are getting fossilified, it will give rise to coal. If the marine plants and animals, if they get fossilified, they'll be giving rise to petroleum. Okay, so in a very simple language, अगर जमीन का ऑर्गेनिक मैटर फॉसिलिफाई दफना दिया जाता है वो कोयला बनता है। समंदर का लिविंग ऑर्गेनिक मैटर अगर वो फॉसिलिफाई हो जाता है वो पेट्रोलियम को जन्म देता है। So this you can explain in a very simple way. In the question they have asked, so how the offshore oil reserves are formed and their distribution. Okay, this has been asked. And later on, we'll go with the differences between offshore and onshore. The first we'll be focusing on offshore, their distribution and their formation. And the second part of the question, since you have asked the onshore occurrences of oil reserves, how they're different, so we'll be going for a table where we'll be comparing and contrasting. So distribution. So few locations have mentioned here. You have the Persian Gulf, the elephant in the room. Almost 50% of the world's oil is present here. Then you have Orinoco Basin. 20% of the world's oil is present here. Then nowadays there is a lot of rush for oil towards the Arctic. That's why I mentioned Barents, Kara and Laptev. North Sea because it has Brent, means low sulfur, sweet crude. Bohai because recently there was a kind of clash between Japan and China. South China Sea for the 10th dash line. Mumbai High, India. Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea because recently India started importing oil from these two countries, and the imports from these countries have increased after the US Trump backlash. Next, Campos Santos, and this is because, we have to do explanation below. This Gulf of Mexico because Evergreen, USA. So few locations have mentioned here, and I told you the importance of them as well. Now formation process I already told you, I will get into more detail here. So the marine life will die. It will go to the bottom of the ocean or on the continental shelf, and it has to be fossilified. Means fossilification means, from the marine life, the moisture has to be removed, and the rest of the volatiles also have to be removed. So how they can be removed? So for this, compression and heat is very important. So this dead marine life can be compressed if they are trapped between two sedimentary layers. So sedimentary rocks, they can be trapped between the sedimentary rocks. Secondly, the marine life, since the sea will be having a lot of salt, so when the sea becomes shallow and when the water evaporates, it will form a salt layer, and this salt layer can trap. Secondly. Thirdly, you can also have the structural faulting. So the ocean bed or the seabed can have faulting or a crack, and in this crack all the marine life is falling, and when it is trapped between these cracks, again there will be compression and heat, and because of this the volatiles and the water from the marine life will be removed, and it will be forming a thick concentrate liquid which will become petroleum eventually. So all these things have been mentioned here. I have explained in a simple language. Next, the first one is Persian Gulf. See again the formation here. So this region was shallow earlier. So again, when you have a shallow ocean or a shallow sea, you will have the penetration of sunlight, nutrients will be getting from the ground, phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, fish, etc. So you'll be having a rich marine life. And this rich marine life has undergone fossilification. And the tectonic collision happened between Arabian Peninsula and Eurasia, because earlier this was all Tethys Sea. So because of the collision, there are structural traps which have sealed the hydrocarbons. Next is Orinoco Basin. Again, this formation is different. So during the Andean mountain formation, so there was a foredip which has been created. So mountain and the foredip. So the sediments were coming from the Andes and they got deposited in the foreland basin or the foredeep, which supplied a lot of nutrients. It had made the ocean or the sea shallow, sunlight penetration, and the sediments will have nutrients, phytoplankton growth, and then rich marine life. Next, Campos Santos. So when the Africa and South America, when they were getting separated from each other, a rifting was created. Then it has created a shallow marine environment. In this shallow marine environment, the marine life has thrived. And in this Rift Valley, means the then Rift Valley, you have a lot of marine life which has been fossilified. Next, Gulf of Mexico. Same story again. So Gulf of Mexico, okay, earlier the North America and South America belonged to Pangaea. So when the separation has taken place, the gap has been created. In this gap, again there was shallow sea and marine life fossilification. Again North Sea, same, it's also associated with the rifting of the Pangaea. So finally the bottom line is, for the formation of the for the formation of the petroleum, you need to have marine sediments, shallow waters, followed by trap. This trap can be a crack, rifting, a salt layer, also it can be a sedimentary rock. Now finally the bottom line is that, now what are the differences between onshore and offshore? In the previous question I have explained, onshore means on the continent, offshore means in the sea, in a very simple language. So these are comparatively older because the land once formed is formed forever, because it is lighter, it has a density of 2.2 to 2.5. But the oceans, they are heavy. The ocean basin is heavy. They undergo subduction, they undergo destruction. That's why it is relatively younger. Next, obviously this will be shallow marine environment because it's in the ocean. This can be terrestrial lakes as well. So where it can be formed? So anticlinal fault drives, but again extra there will be having salt domes because the sea water will be having a lot of salt. The drilling cost is much higher there because you have to go into the ocean, you have to lay the pipeline, you have to build a rig over there. The rig has to be floating, helicopter, okay, through helicopter you have to take the people, get the people, so, and explosions can also be there. So that's why it's comparatively costly. A share is also mentioned here. An example, okay, on the land Gohar. So this is in Saudi Arabia. So these are super giant, very large. Again, that can be medium to large. And one more example of this, Safania. Okay, it's also in Saudi Arabia. If we come to India, examples of this is Mumbai High, South Basin, KG Basin, etc. And the inland, so in the last question I have explained you that when Indian Peninsular Plateau, when it was drifting towards Eurasia, it was rolling, pitching and thawing. And wherever the pitching has taken place, the marine water intrusion has taken place, and there, okay, you had this fossilification. So the offshore oil reserves, okay, in the question majorly they are focused on offshore oil reserves, though they are complicated, okay, they are difficult to remove, associated with explosion, associated with oil spills, but still they are very important for our energy security. Okay, so this has been mentioned in the conclusion. You can also go forward and say that gradually we should reduce our dependence on the oil and we should be moving towards the renewable sources of energy such as solar, tidal, wind, etc. You can go for green energy. So that suggestion also you can make. So the next question is, how can artificial intelligence drones be effectively used along with the GIS and RS techniques in location and aerial planning? So this is the question. So these kind of questions you generally don't study anywhere. So you have to apply it from your current affairs knowledge and you have to use some common sense in such kind of questions. So I'll tell you the background of this. So first I'll explain what are these four components. Then you'll be able to understand what kind of introduction you should be writing. See, when it comes to GIS, that is Geographical Information Systems. So in this, you'll be taking the help of the maps plus the data from the ground is taken. Say you're taking the map of a city, so you're taking the data, which income groups live in which part of the city. Okay, so this, okay, if you're overlapping these two, this becomes a GIS. Then remote sensing. See, the data which has been taken from the ground, okay, in the GI has to be validated. Then for that, you have to take the help of the remote sensing. So here you'll be using the remote sensing satellites. So these satellites will be placed at a distance of around 700 to 800 kilometers. So they'll be in the polar orbit. So they'll be taking the picture of a place. So they'll be taking the picture of my house after every 1.5 hours or 90 minutes approximately. Okay, so that will be able to give, okay, then such kind of pictures are taken over a period of time, and then a map will be made. Now if you're taking such kind of pictures over a period of time, you'll get to know where the high income groups live, where the low income groups live, so based on the housing pattern. Next comes the drones. So here, if you're taking a video or a picture from 700-800 kilometers, obviously you'll not be getting a good resolution. Now you have to take a picture, okay, which has good resolution as well. So for that you'll be using the drones. So here we'll be using the mid-altitude drones. So these drones are kept at a height of around 3 to 4 kilometers. So they'll be taking a good resolution picture. So far away picture, near picture, you have a map plus spatial data from the ground, and then in everything you'll be using AI. So now let's see how all these things will be used in spatial planning. Okay, so I'll explain this through various examples. So urban and regional planning. So here we are using AI plus GIS. For example, you want to find out which site will be better suiting for industries. So for industries, we need an infrastructure. Okay, we need a roadway here, and we need the raw material. Labor supply should also be there. So all this data will be getting from the GIS, and AI will be able to optimize it better. So it will be able to optimize, अरे इसको कौन सा एरिया के सिटी में रखेंगे तो अच्छा कॉस्ट कम आएगा और प्रॉफिट ज्यादा आएगा. For example, SCZ. Similarly, okay, schools. So if you want to establish a school anywhere, you should know where the residential density is more, where the peaceful environment is more, because it should not be polluted. Say near the forest area, it should be having good connectivity as well. Same goes with the hospital. Let's take second example, drone plus remote sensing. Now urban sprawl is in which direction the urban area is spreading or getting stretched. So with the help of a remote sensing satellite, you'll be able to get a vague picture, but if you want a high resolution picture, then you'll be using drones. Similarly, where the slums are, where the encroachments are, obviously remote sensing will be able to take the picture, but again good resolution picture will be getting with the help of the drone. So AI, okay, can drive the traffic also. It will be able to find out which part of the city has very high traffic, and through which area we can reroute so that traffic congestion can be reduced. So we can also optimize the timings of the school, timings of the office. Say in the morning 7 a.m. we can start the school, and offices can start at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. like that. So AI will be doing this. So if you want to do agricultural planning, again, say you want to do crop health monitoring. Say crop has pest. Of course, the remote sensing satellites will be able to find out whether the crop has come to the harvest or not. Okay, how is the health of the crop? But again, for better resolution, again you have to use drones. So AI, with the help of the soil conditions, moisture conditions, rainfall conditions, and the situation of the farmer, it will be able to optimize how much will be the yield in this area. Next, water conservation. The remote sensing satellites will be able to picture the surface water. Means कहाँ पे लेक है, कहाँ पे नदी है, okay, and then it will be able to find out where the groundwater aquifers are. Means पानी ऊपर सरफेस पे ज्यादा है या नीचे ज्यादा है, उसके हिसाब से वो वाटर यूज की एक प्लान बना सकते हैं यहाँ पे. नेक्स्ट, ड्रोन्स विल बी एबल टू फाइंड आउट केनाल कहाँ से सीपेज हो रहा है, बिकॉज ड्रोन्स पूरा एरिया का सर्वे करेगा, बोलेगा कि लीकेज यहाँ से हो रही है भैया, वहां पे कुछ चिपका दो. Plus disaster management, obviously remote sensing satellites, it will be able to find out where the flood prone area is. Hazard zone nation maps, which area is most affected by the floods or the earthquake. The drones, so ये तो 90 मिनट में एक बार घूम के आपको पिक्चर दिखाएगा, लेकिन ड्रोन है ना, that will be able to give you a real time monitoring. The drone आपके आकाश में, sky में, it will be there for 24 hours and direct relay करता रहेगा. Next, infrastructure, and transportation planning. So based on the algorithms, we'll be able to find out the shortest paths, multimodal transport hubs. मतलब कितना डिस्टेंस में आपको रोडवेज यूज करना चाहिए, कितना डिस्टेंस के लिए आपको रेलवेज यूज करना चाहिए, एंड कितना डिस्टेंस के लिए आपको शिप्स वाटरवेज को यूज करना चाहिए. So एक ऑप्टिमाइजेशन होती है. Because if you're going for a very long, if you want to send your goods like 10,000, 20,000 kilometers, The waterway is going to be the cheapest mode of transport, like that, So AI will be able to optimize these kind of things better. So what are the advantages? So you can have centimeter level accuracy. So it will be very cost effective also. And predictive power, in the future में क्या होगा ये भी predict करेगा. And participatory planning, because in the GIS, we are using the data from the ground, so we will have participation from the people also. Now what are the challenges? So if you want to establish all these things, initial cost will be very high. And when you're taking the data, when you're doing surveillance 24/7, data privacy, security problems, ethical concerns will be there. Again, we have the Drone Regulation Act. So limitation will be there, where you can fly drones, where you cannot fly drones. And sometimes what happens is that, whenever such kind of things come, what happens over a period of time, the people lose touch with the ground. जमीन से सर्वे लेना भूल जाएंगे, पूरा टेक्नोलॉजी पे डिपेंड करेंगे, तो वो मिसमैच कर जाएगा. So again, give a conclusion here. So it is participatory, it is predictive, dynamic, efficient, environmentally sound, all these keywords you can write, which have been mentioned here. The next question is, so discuss how changes in the shape and size of the continents and ocean basins of the planet take place due to tectonic movements of the crustal landmass. See, you always have to link the tectonic movements with the changes in the shape and size of the continents and ocean basins. So in the examination conditions, this is a bit difficult to think over. So this is not that easy question. But once you get the hook, once you get to know what you have to write in this answer, it becomes very easy. So let's see, how it goes. So I've given a basic, definition here. So I've taken the help of the plate tectonics theory, how this, mantle dynamism happens, and how the plate tectonics happen. Now let's see the processes. See, continental drift. Use the Wegener's theory of continental drift here. So according to Wegener, the continental drift has broken the Pangea into various components or various parts as you see them today. So a very big continent called as Pangea, it has broken into smaller continents. So it is addressing the demand of the question, changes in the shape and size of the continents and oceans. So after writing every point, go back and look at the question. So then only you'd be able to stick to the demand of the question. और इस एग्जामिनेशन में क्या होता है, आप फ्लो में लिखते रहते हो, भूल जाते हो कि क्वेश्चन क्या है. So this happens often. And in mains, so you have to write for 27 hours, 5 दिन के लिए आप लिखते ही रहोगे. So उस फ्लो में ना आप भूल जाओगे, because the subjects also get jumbled. उस सब्जेक्ट का आ जाएगा, इस सब्जेक्ट का आ जाएगा. So things get intermixed and you lose the path. The second is sea floor spreading. Again, this theory has been given by Harry, Hess and Dietz, sea floor spreading hypothesis. So whenever the sea floor spreading takes place, an ocean is formed in between and the large continent becomes 2 smaller continents. And a nascent ocean is formed in between. Next is subduction. See, a larger ocean, which is having a heavier oceanic plate, will be undergoing subduction. The Pacific Ocean today is undergoing subduction. So it is becoming smaller and smaller day by day. So size is reducing. Next, orogeny. So whenever 2 continents collide, say the Indian Peninsular Plateau and Eurasia both got collided with each other and they got sutured, this kind of stitching. So it creates larger continents. So the microcontinents, when they get sutured over a period of time, they become a larger continent. Next is rifting, as it is happening in the Great African Rift Valley. So here also the continent will be broken. Here Somali plate is there. The Somali plate is drifting apart. And a larger continent called as Africa will be broken into smaller parts. Next, island arc formation. So whenever 2 lithospheric crusts, they interact with each other. When they collide with each other, the collision forms an arc, also called as archipelagios, are also formed here. initially in the ocean and ocean continent kind of collision. So it will shape, it will change the curvature of the continent. It will become an arc. That's why you see Sumatra, Java, arc. Even our Himalayas has got an arc. If you go to the east towards Japan, okay, Kamchatka Peninsula, there also you have an arc. Aleutian Islands, everywhere there is an arc. There's accretion of terraces. So whenever an oceanic plate is undergoing subduction, so the ocean-based sediments will undergo abrasion. So they'll be plastered against the oceanic crust or the continental crust. Say in this case, continental crust. So all this accretionary matter, they get plastered over the continents, and today you have the mountains, broad mountains such as Rockies, and also little bit narrow mountains such as Andes. So such kind of things can also be formed. Next, a hotspot volcanism. So this hotspot volcanism is a centralized magmatic activity. It's a central duct from where highly fluidic magma is oozing out and is spread out on the surface. So on the ocean surface, you'll be having a very large amount of basalt which is spread out. So it also creates a kind of a barrier in a very large ocean. What if, okay, they surface out? It will be dividing the ocean into two. There's a transform faulting. Okay, this is also kind of a fault, a slip fault. So a larger continent will be broken into two smaller parts. The best example here is Juan de Fuca plate and North American plate, and you have this San Andreas fault in California. There's basin subsidence. It's like, imagine this as a cushion. सोफा का सेट है, आप बैठे हो, लोड डाल रहे हो तो नीचे चले जाएगा, उठ रहे हो और बाउंस बैक हो जाएगा. So whenever you're putting load, especially, okay, the river will be bringing a lot of sediment such as the Mississippi River, okay, this Bengal Basin. So whenever a lot of load has been put, so because of the olivine outflow in the asthenosphere, वो नीचे चला जाएगा, basin हो जाएगा. So then also, okay, because of the subsidence also, large continent can become small because seawater intrusion will be taking place. There's isostatic rebound. See, whenever you put load, subsidence will take place. Whenever you remove load, it will bounce back. So these are nothing but the shield regions, the old basement rock which have been buried, okay, in the Archean time period. Now they are being surfaced out because of the removal of the load. Or, okay, this is also called as isostatic rebound. So if you have come across such kind of concepts, of good, okay, if you haven't come across, then आप ढंग से पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहे हो. Next, you have fissure eruptions. So it's a crack. It's a crack in the oceanic crust or the continental crust. And through this crack, a lot of basaltic eruptions come out, and very large basaltic provinces, plateaus are created on the surface, such as Siberian Deccan. Okay, this will also change the morphology of the continents. So in the oceans also, okay, surface out, okay, and a very large basaltic floor is created. So they can create, very big, plateaus, okay, in the ocean floor, such as Zealandia is there, example. So again, conclusion. The conclusion, okay, it should be a bit futuristic, okay, and it should be application oriented also. So in the first two lines, I have actually concluded the answer by giving a generic statement saying that, the exogenic forces and endogenic forces shape, okay, the morphology of the continents and the oceans. But again, something futuristic you have to learn, okay, right from here. So what is happening now? Because of the anthropogenic interferences, the exogenic forces are acting more. How? If you are removing the forest, the erosion will happen more. The continents are shaped. You are doing mining. When you do scarification of the land, when the agricultural area expands, whenever the desertification happens, the shape of the continents are changing. And also nowadays you are doing seabed mining as well. So that will also change, alter the ocean bottom. So this is how we can conclude. And this is also one of the reasons for the sixth mass scale extinction. So this is bit far stretched, but again, okay, if in one or two answers, if you are able to write such kind of things, I think the examiner will be impressed, okay, and they'll be thinking that, okay, this guy is highly futuristic, okay, and so a good impression create karega. The next important question is, discuss the density distribution of population in the Ganga river basin with special reference to land, soil, water resources. See, this question is bit complicated because, see, there are so many dimensions here. Distribution density, 2 dimensions. Land, soil, water, okay, 3 dimensions, 5 dimensions. And again, okay, number of dimensions here will change depending upon how you will divide the Ganga river basin here. This is bit complicated to answer. And let me know in the comment section, okay, anybody, okay, anywhere on the internet has answered this question in such a beautiful way. So what I've done is that, see, I know a bit of geography, that's why I have drawn, okay, one concept, okay, from Ackerman. His concept of optimum population, overpopulation, underpopulation. So I've taken a hint from there, and based on that I have answered this. So, but in the examination conditions, to break this down is very difficult. So again, some of the basic facts about the Ganga basin. So 25% of India's land, 43% of India's population. Okay, starting from the Himalayan headwaters. And here I have divided the Ganga basin into upper, middle and lower. So I'll be taking every basin here. Upper Ganga basin. So corresponding map. So here in upper Ganga basin, the important rivers are Yamuna and tributaries. Of course, Ganga is there. Ram Ganga, Gomati. So these are the rivers, major rivers in the upper Ganga basin. Now here I will talk about the land, soil and water resources. But again, as an administrator, you should never forget the problems here. So it's not always about opportunities, but also, भाई ये जान के आप क्या करोगे? मतलब फायदा क्या होगा? मतलब कुछ problem solve करोगे कि नहीं? So that's why, okay, whenever such kind of questions are asked, okay, even if, okay, they are asking about the static part, also discuss the dynamic part here, what is happening in that area. So, distribution of population, okay, we'll discuss first. So, in the Himalayan foothills, okay, in the upper reaches, the population density is low, around 250 people per square kilometer, because here we'll be having lithosols and patthar wale rocks, soil, and okay, the soils are thin here. That's why it won't be able to support much population. So when you go in the lower reaches, you'll be having doabs, fertile plains, you'll be having Bangar, Khaddar. So because of these things, it will be able to support more population. The population density increases here. So 600 to 900 persons. So in the Terai, you have very high organic matter. The water availability is also high because the rivers kind of resurface. So in the Bhabbar region, they go underground, and again here they resurface. So because of which, okay, so high value agriculture will be taking place here. A lot of basmati rice is grown in this region. So here the per capita availability varies from region to region, okay, ranging from 500 to 1700. So because of perennial glacier flood rivers. So the region has good agriculture, not just because of the natural factors, not just because of the fertile land, fertile soil and water resources, not just because of this, but also because of human intervention, that is green revolution. So these are the various factors which are contributing to the population density. So we have mentioned the population density in different areas, plus distribution also we have mentioned. So in which area, okay, you have how much population density, also water availability. Okay, now let's talk about the problems here. Now what is happening to the land? urban area expansion is happening because of the Delhi NCR effect. So fertile land is gone for the expansion of the highways, housing. A lot of land is being left fallow because of the speculation of real estate. This in the Terai region, okay, especially in the western part. So in the rainy season, it's fine, the water will be there, but we have a dry season as well because the India is a monsoonal land. So there, and we are using a lot of chemical fertilizers. So in the dry season, because of excessive evaporation, there is vertical upload movement, capillary attraction will be there, because of which the soils will become saline. And moreover, the Punjab and Haryana have basin topography. So because of the basin topography, the water does not percolate very well. And in this, you are applying a lot of chemicals, fertilizers, over irrigation. As a dry region, the water will be evaporated, but the salts will be left behind, making the soils saline. Next, the groundwater. So a lot of free electricity is given here. Green erosion belt, agriculture is very rampant in this area, because of which you are drawing a lot of groundwater. So groundwater depletion is taking place. Okay, next comes the Middle Ganga plains. So when you are going from the west to east, the fertility of the soil increases, the rainfall also increases. So because of which the population density also increases because of these natural factors. But again, this does not correspond to the increase in the productivity, because the productivity not only in India, everywhere in the world, is because of the human interventions. अब ज़्यादा fertilizer डालो, ज़्यादा पानी डालो, over irrigation करो तो आपकी फसल ज़्यादा आएगी. भगवान से दिया हुआ से कुछ नहीं होगा. So human intervention चाहिए ही चाहिए. But again, it is not sustainable in the long run. Remember this also. So the Middle Ganga plains. So again, you will be having Khaddar plains, Bangar plains. So the soil is loomy, so high production is taking place, which also supports more population. तो 1000 to 1200 population density यहाँ पे increase हो गया. And जितना green revolution, okay, the upper Ganga plains में हुआ है, यहाँ पे नहीं हुआ. This is kind of your eastern UP and Bihar part. The important rivers here, lower reaches of Ghagra, Gandak, Kosi and नीचे Son. तो यहाँ पे उतना green revolution नहीं हुआ, तो human intervention उतना नहीं है. So that's why here the productivity is comparatively low here. And the surface water is also there, which is also supporting more population over here. Now let's see what are the problems here. Now here the population and pressure on the land is high. Why? Because in this area you have traditional agriculture, and agriculture in India is inherently associated with poverty. Because of agriculture करोगे तो गरीब होगे यहाँ पे. And poverty is associated with producing more children. So when you produce more children, बंटवारा होगा land का. So land will be fragmented into small patches. So you'll be having fragmented and small land holdings in which agriculture is not viable. So farmer क्या करेगा? या तो अर्बन एरिया को माइग्रेट करेगा, नहीं तो लैंड को छोड़ देगा, खेती नहीं करेगा. वो सोचेगा कि मैं इसमें पैसा डालूं, पानी डालूं, फर्टिलाइजर डालूं, बाद में कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, बारिश नहीं होगा. So that's why the fallow land is again prone to erosion. बारिश आया, गया लैंड ऊपर का सॉइल, हवा आई, ऊपर की फर्टाइल सॉइल चली गई. So it is very much prone to erosion also. Next, water related problems. See, Kosi, it's also called as Sorrow of Bihar. It's very much notorious for shifting the courses. Not only this, others also. So because of the shifting of the courses, okay, the floods will increase a lot. And also the groundwater is contaminated here because it is all, okay, the alluvium, sediments है पूरे. सब जो भी फर्टिलाइजर, जो भी पोल्यूटेंट डालोगे ऊपर सरफेस के ऊपर, नीचे चले जाएगा. तो नाइट्रेट पोल्यूशन, आर्सेनिक पोल्यूशन becomes more and more. And also there is over extraction of the groundwater in some areas. Next, what is happening to soil? Again the same here. Water logging in the canal command areas. तो जहां पे भी कैनाल होता है उसकी लाइनिंग ढंग से नहीं होती है. लाइनिंग मीन्स प्लास्टरिंग, सीमेंटेशन. So water seepage होता है. When water leaks from the sides and from the sides, okay, it will also cause evaporation. So when the water is leaking on the sides, it will dissolve some salts from the ground, and finally when the evaporation happens, it will be leaving the salts behind. So upper layer of the soil will fill with the salts. So salinization is happening here. And also, okay, I'll explain to you this, fallowing is also happening, and then fallowing is leading to soil erosion. Next comes the lower Ganga plains. So here again, the population density increases towards the east because the rainfall increases, soil becomes more loomy, it is more fertile, it also supports good agriculture, that's why the density is more. And also near the Sundarbans, okay, when they're going lower and lower in the deltaic regions, you have a lot of small lakes called as bheels in Bengal. So they also support a lot of fishing. The Bengali मच्छी बहुत खाते हैं because वहाँ पे availability है. So, and also this is bit flood prone, that's why the population density decreases a bit. But again, it is the water stressed region as well. पानी है लेकिन lower reaches में थोड़ा नमक वाला पानी आता है. ये flood prone area है. तो जब flood आती है, बाढ़ आती है, तो पानी कंटेमिनेट हो जाता है. सो पानी होगा आपके सामने लेकिन ना के बराबर है. नमक वाला पानी आएगा बिकॉज ऑफ द स्टॉर्म सर्जेस, साइक्लोन्स, अगेन पानी किसी यूज का नहीं होता है. सो पर कैपिटा अवेलेबिलिटी इज कंपैरेटिवली लो. सो लेट्स सी व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स हियर. So in the lower reaches, the river bank erosion takes place because when the flooding increases, the river bank is gone, it is displaced. And because of the sea level rise, there is land loss in Sundarbans. And the soil is also getting destroyed because of the coast. In the coastal area, sea water intrusion will be taking place. And water logging is also taking place. Next, if you are extracting more and more groundwater, so when you extract groundwater, initially you'll be having, okay, the salts of, okay, sodium, potassium. If you extract more, magnesium, calcium. If you extract more, arsenic, iron in elemental form, heavy metals, ये सब आएगा. And also moreover, okay, you have the pollution along the Hooghly stretch. This is also industrial belt. So this is how the water is also getting polluted, plus the saline water intrusion. Then again, okay, so combine all this into one paragraph. Okay, I have done mistake here. So the land is being degraded. Okay, it's also demographic heartland. And if you want to sustain this area, it's very important to manage this land water systems, because this area is not that industrialized and people still are dependent upon agriculture, many people. So land water ecosystem has to be restored here, then only it will lead to sustainability. Or else, the water will shrink here, the soil will be degraded, and it won't be able to support the population in the future anymore. The next question is, achieving sustainable growth with emphasis on environmental protection could come into conflict with poor people needs in a country like India. So on one side, you have this environmental protection, environmentalism, and the other side, you have these poor people's needs. And the question they are asking, is there a conflict, or both can go hand in hand? So this is the question. So what is happening now, what it is, and what it ought to be. And what it ought to be becomes a solution, or what it is becomes the problem here. So a generic introduction is there. So there is always a dilemma, okay, between the environmental protection and the poor people's immediate needs, such as food, fuel, livelihood, shelter, etc. And moreover in India, okay, 20% of people are still below poverty line. Therefore, the conflict arises. Now let's see how this conflict arises. Now poor people, okay, especially tribals, they are dependent upon shifting agriculture. So when you are doing shifting agriculture, you have to cut down the forest. So environmental protection is gone for the livelihood of sustainable livelihood or the livability of the tribals. But again, if you're protecting the forests, okay, so you're expanding the wildlife sanctuaries, you're declaring or upgrading a wildlife sanctuary into a national park. So tribal people have to be displaced. So if you're protecting the environment, again, the poor people's life are at stake. Next, let's see energy. Now, poor people are dependent upon firewood, coal for cooking purposes. So, when you are using firewood, when you are using biomass for burning, it will lead to a lot of pollution. But again, okay, if you have to reduce pollution, you have to provide LPG, which becomes unaffordable to the poor. Next, industrial growth. See, in the Stockholm summit, Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, she told that poverty is the biggest polluter. So if you have to upgrade your industry, if you have to make your industry less polluting, it will cost you a lot of money. And a lot of poor people will be working in this very old obsolete technology wale industries, such as tanneries, brick kilns. So they'll be polluting in nature. So in the name of environmental protection, if you are shutting them down, then poor people's livelihood is lost. Next again, let's see how it will be affecting agricultural livelihood. So if you are putting restrictions on the groundwater, so बेचारा सरफेस वाटर कहाँ से लेके आएगा, वाटर कहाँ से हार्वेस्ट करेगा, ड्रिप इरिगेशन कहाँ से लगाएगा बेचारा पूरा गरीब लोग. So again it's in conflict. Next, stubble burning. See, for farmers the easy solution is stubble burning, but again it will cause pollution. Stubble burn नहीं करना है, stubble को stack करना है, it has to be converted into bioethanol or it has to be converted into bio pellets, etc., which is not possible, which the poor farmer won't be able to do. So it will be affecting the small and marginal farmers. Next, urban poor. See, urban poor will be living on the margins of the ecosystem. जहाँ पे लेके उसके आसपास you'll be having झुग्गी झोपड़ी, ड्रेनेज घुस रहा है, सिटी में से जा रहा है, उसके आसपास भी आपको झुग्गी झोपड़ी मिलेगा. या कहीं रिवर जा रही है, रिवर बेड में जाके the poor people live, they build their houses. Now if you want to do environmental protection, you have to remove the poor people from the margins of the ecosystem. We have to be removed from low-lying areas, flood-prone areas, forest areas in the cities, canal areas, lake areas. So if you want to protect the environment, again the poor people conflict is there. So what it is we have seen, but what it ought to be, we'll see here. So way to reconcile the conflict. But again, before that, we'll see why this is sharp in India. Firstly, we have the highest poor population in the world. So according to Niti Aayog report. And the people are dependent upon land water ecosystem because there is no much of industrialization in India. And for the service sector, it requires specialized skills. So therefore, since we are dependent upon land water ecosystem, so this problem will be there. And weak safety nets. So for example, you have been evicted from the forest. आपके लिए क्या है, आपको compensation मिलेगी क्या, आपको rehabilitation resettlement मिलेगा क्या, कोई guarantee नहीं है. Now short term versus long term, the poor, so poor, when they see the forest, so they'll be thinking of livelihood. They'll not be thinking that ये मेरे अगले जन्म so पूरा अगले generations के लिए बचा के रखूंगा. They'll not think in that way. So they will see it for the immediate requirements. And this is also called as environmentalism of the poor in India. So how this can be reconciled? Now, inclusive environmental policy. So the poor people, the forest dwellers, the tribal should be made the part of the environmental protection. Ownership rights should be given to the tribals and forest dwellers. Minor forest produce rights should be given to them. They should be allowed to manage their own forests. So you should be having Joint Forest Management Act. It should be participatory in nature. There's green energy subsidies. So subsidies have to be given. The solar, irrigation के लिए solar दे दो, नहीं तो LPG, gas connections through PM Ujjwala Yojana, like that. Next, sustainable tourism. So instead of mad tourism, you should encourage ecotourism. So non-timber forest produce, value chain should be produced. Say some product of the tribal is produced somewhere in Meghalaya, it should be tagged, and we have this Amazon, Flipkart, it should be allowed to be sold anywhere in India or abroad. There should be a direct linkage between the producer, who is a tribal, and the consumer in the urban areas. So the direct benefit should be directly given to the tribal. Okay, this tri-fed can help here. So technology and innovation, okay, drip irrigation, okay, micro and solar grids, okay, these kind of things can be used so that the environmental pressure will reduce. So slum upgradation, because slums are the largest polluters in the cities. So water ko pollute karte, air ko pollute karte, they will be using biomass, etc. Next, policy integration. So poverty alleviation and climate goals, so the both should be interlinked with each other. Best example is Narega for watershed development. Say किसी गांव में water की problem है, इनको water नहीं आ रहा है. So this example has been lively demonstrated by Rajendra Singh, okay, waterman of India in the Alwar district of Rajasthan. So under Narega program, you can ask people to dig, okay, pits so that water retention can happen. And if this is done for 2 or 3 years, okay, then you will have the water availability. So Mr. Rajendra Singh, he has made a river lively after it has become dead by using this simple watershed based management. So again, the conclusion has become a bit long, but again, okay, please go through the conclusion. So you should not be thinking of the short term, you should be thinking of the long term, because environmental sustainability is more important, because we'll not be having anything for the future generations. So I hope, okay, you have liked my discussion. So please, okay, comment below what you liked about it, what you did not like about it. And if you have any better way of answer writing than this, you please post in the comments. You can upload it. Okay, also you can send your queries. You can directly connect to me through my WhatsApp. You can leave your message on the WhatsApp, I'll reply to it. And soon, okay, I'll be launching my courses also. So you'll be having just 300-page book, okay, that will be your handwritten notes, and you'll be able to write answers in this way. And I bet you nowhere in the country, okay, take any coaching center, okay, they won't be able to teach geography or discuss geography in the way I do it. So you must have understood my approach, and thank you. Okay, please, okay, follow this channel for daily updates. I'll be taking up the issues which come in the newspapers on daily basis, and I'll be discussing. Thank you.